Well, Bobby told us a little bit about you. You've been working in the visa scene here in Portugal for about 10 years or so. Tell us a little bit more about yourself, if you will, and your company.
Okay, very good. So, I'm a Portuguese lawyer here in Portugal. I started to work very young in 2006 in the legal field. And since there, I worked in law firms in Brazil, London, Portugal, of course. And for the past 10 years, my expertise is in foreign investment in Portugal.
Yeah.
So for the past 10 years, I have been working especially with foreign citizens that want to invest in Portugal, all kind of investments in Portugal. Of course, the most popular in the past years is the Golden Visa, as you may
Mm.
know.
Yeah.
So pretty much involved with that and D2 visas as well. So everything that involves investment operation in Portugal. And when they do the investment in Portugal, of course, there are many related matters that comes together, such as the real estate, the corporate, the taxation, the immigration as well. So this is my expertise for the past 10 years. So what we have is a law firm that it's called Legal Legacy that we try to provide to our clients that are all foreigners a full service regarding Portugal. So not just the investment, but to try to assist and support our clients in all the matters in Portugal that will come with the investment, with the immigration side, taxation, and so on.
Wonderful. And in that time, I guess you've seen a few fashions and changes in how people come to Portugal, and of course, more recently, the changes in the Golden Visa, and now this opportunity for the D2, which is quite. I mean, the name suggests, doesn't it? The number is quite early on in Portugal's visa history. It suggests it's quite a long-standing one, but it hasn't been that popular in recent times. The D7 has taken the limelight, hasn't it? And the Golden Visa, and now we have this new offering, and Bobby's talked a little bit about it this morning, the D2, and revisiting of it. It's not a new visa, is it? It's an old one that is just sort of re-emerged for consideration for people. I mean, let's get into the basics here. How do people go about applying for a D2 visa? Is it the same as you would for any other process? And Bobby, feel free to jump in as well, because I mean, you guys are partnering on this.
Yeah, no, but let Adriana take the lead on it.
Very good. So the D2 is the commercial name that we have, since as the Golden Visa is the commercial name as well. And this is a residence in Portugal. So it starts with a visa application before the Portuguese consulate, where the person, the applicant, is living at the moment. So it's for those that are not in Portugal, so they are living abroad and they want to make an investment in Portugal, get this the residence, and maybe move to here. So the way to start is before the consulate, and the D2, I would say in very simple terms, is the residence that is granted for the applicant that wants to set up a company in Portugal. So this visa will be granted for the shareholders of the company that they will incorporate in Portugal, all the company that already exist in Portugal, and they will become a shareholder here in Portugal. So is a residence as any other in Portugal. So once you have the resident car, you are entitled to live in Portugal, to have access to the health public system. Um, you have the right to study, to do anything as any other citizen here in Portugal.
Wonderful. And how long does it take to do this process? Because and kind of how you go about it. Do you have to how often do you have to be here? How much do you have to be here? One of the beauties of the Golden Visa for people, of course, was they didn't have to be in Portugal as much, for example, as you did for the D7 visa. How does the D2 compare in that regard?
The D2 is the stay requirement of the golden visa, that is 7 days per year, the average, is the only type of residence that we have in Portugal that the requirement is that low. It's just 7 days. So the D2 is meant to be for people that want to invest in Portugal, to set up a company and live in Portugal.
Right.
But what we have in our law, and this applies for any type of residence, is that if you are a resident holder in Portugal and for some professional reason you cannot fulfill the stay requirement here or live in Portugal, you are able to justify to the immigration office that you couldn't be in Portugal for such a long period and be able to keep your residence even if you are not here living.
Which I guess would appeal to the entrepreneurial person, wouldn't it? Because if, for example, the demands of your business kept you out of the country so that you couldn't meet the technical requirements, you could make a case to say, look, I needed to be running my business elsewhere. This is why I haven't been here. And they might look on that as an extenuating or sort of moderating circumstance.
Yes, it's as from my experience, the not just the D2, but the golden visa as well. Usually the applicants are, business people. So they have a lot of business in different countries. They are traveling a lot. So it's something that it's very easy to demonstrate and explain to the immigration office that, look, I have this business in Portugal, but I still have another business going on in another places. So I need to be in many countries at the same time. So here is the reason that I'm not living now at the moment in Portugal. But of course, if they want to live here, they are entitled to, as the golden visa holders as well. In the past 10 years, I had many clients that they start doing the investment, and then they fell in love with Portugal, Lisbon, and they decide, okay, I just will move with my family.
I
So
imagine that's very common. Yeah, absolutely.
it's
In
quite
fact,
common.
Antonio said this morning, morning, greetings from a sunny Minho, happy hump day, Tony Time, man in the Minho. He says, don't come to Portugal if you don't want to fall in love with Portugal. That's in fact something he says. Squire of the Shire sounds like an intriguing avenue of approach. And that's, I think that's a kind of a nod in the direction of D2. Why haven't I heard about this before? People have heard of the Golden Visa. They've heard of the D7. And I think we should look at the comparison between the three different approaches there. I mean, with the D7, we mentioned it this morning. It's like it was always seen as a retirement, passive income option for people. And people had a change of heart and mind, didn't they, in the pandemic, and thought, okay, I'm going to bring my retirement plans on, make them happen earlier. Portugal looks good. D7 looks good. I'll go and retire over there. Is something else happening now post-pandemic where there's going to be more of an investment mindset, Bobby? Are you seeing this where people aren't thinking of retiring? They're actually thinking of investing. And do you think people will be sort of waking up or switching that idea open in their minds? I can actually go to Portugal and invest rather than just retire.
Well, I think it's a great time to invest. That's the first thing. So once people understand, so what my part in this partnership is, I'm the investment expert, if you like. I've been doing it for many, many years. I've been advising people how to invest in and basically giving them options with, depending on their attitude towards risk, what to want to invest in. You can make it very simple in the sense that they can just buy an apartment or a couple of apartments, rent them out, and they have a passive income. So if they wanted to live here, they can do that and still have an income. I remember when I was doing the Golden Visa, a lot of people were planning 5 to 7 years or even 10 years down the road to when they retired, that when they moved here, they needed to have an income in Portugal, because a lot of these people were doctors, etc., from different countries, that when they moved to Portugal, and if they wanted to move to Portugal, that their degree didn't pass over, as in that they would be allowed to work as doctors here. So they were coming up with, how am I going to have an income? Where am I going to have an income? And so on and so forth. So a lot of them were investing in property for not just the Golden Visa purpose, but it was to give themselves an income going forward, that when they moved here. So when people talk about moving to Portugal, as I said, the D2 and the D7 as well, but you don't necessarily need to live in Portugal. But for people who are looking to move to Portugal, now is actually a great time to invest and a great time to buy, and not just buy, but to looking at the different options. That if you move to Portugal, it's nice to have a Portuguese income as well as whatever income you have from another place. And so we're finding that you have a couple of different types of people who are now looking at the D2. You have the D7 type person who was looking at it, who was coming anyway, who only knew about the D7 and they were thinking NHR and looking at retirement, etc. as well. But I would say to people who are even on that idea, there's no minimum amount of the investment. It has to be what they call a substantial investment, and that basically will come down to how you're going to invest. But I suppose for those people who are looking at the D7 route, the D2 route is very, very attractive for them. So imagine they can look at both options. They can look at, this is what the D7 will do, and this is what I have to do for the D7. This is what the D2 will do, and this is what I have to do for the D2. Actually, the qualification sides of it and so on are very, very similar. And actually, the requirements are very, very similar. The difference is what it'll do for you. So the D2, hopefully, if you do it properly and you make your investment wisely, you're actually making money while you're actually here as well. Where the D7, you have to find some kind of way of... Now, you can still make money under the D7 as well, don't get me wrong. But the D2, I think, opens up, as I said, the avenue with regards to bringing people onto the residency that are either over, let's say, outside the reach of dependency, but also the children or the parents that might be still dependent can also be added as the unification of family. So as Adriana is an expert on that side, she can probably talk more about that. But I think instead of just looking at D7 is the way to go, I think D2 is a very good option for people who are looking at D7 as well. And if they decide to come here and the NHR is still applicable, it's applies as well. So I've had people who did a golden visa and did the NHR as well. So the NHR is about residency and tax residency.
Right. And this, I just wanted to dwell on this idea of, what kind of investment and what kind of entrepreneur. Some people who are working their way towards a D7 retirement, idyll of being in Portugal, think it's no way I want to start a business. But you don't have to be some sort of thrusting entrepreneur by the sound of it, working every hour God sends to take advantage of this. It could be a property investment. It could be something a little bit more modest.
Yes, absolutely. Right. It really comes to, look, the structure of the company, you can invest in anything. It doesn't have to be property. If your business at home is buying and selling bananas, you can do the same business here. You can be, if it's ceramics or whatever it is, it can be an arm of that company that you're already, or business that you're already doing. So if you're already an entrepreneur and you're doing business in another country, the likelihood is you could probably do similar here in Portugal that might sort of, I would just say, join up with what you're already doing. But I suppose what typically people look at is the opportunity that Portugal offers with regards to real estate. And why? Because there's not enough of it, first of all. That's the main thing. There's not enough property. Okay, where's the demand, and so on and so forth. And you can get in as little as, say, 100, 150,000 euros into the property market here. And how would you say, that will actually work for your D2. But you can also buy off plan. You can buy units that are already rented. It really comes down to the person's attitude towards risk, and business is a risk, and really what they need to have is information with regards to what are the options and so on. But they might come with their own ideas and might say, listen, this is what I do here. How can I fit that here? So really what we're about is not trying to sell them a property or trying to get them to invest into a property. It's about advising them is in what's the best form of investment for them to make if they want to go to D2 route or if they want to go to D7 route. So you have, I suppose, the best of both, or even the golden visa. As you said earlier on, we have many people say, especially from the States, that would be, say, supporters of the arts and would like to find some kind of artistic project that they would like to support. They can make a donation to that group, and that's it. It's as simple as that. There's your golden visa. Come for 7 days a year. You don't need to buy anything. You don't need to invest in. You don't need to have to worry about it. You just do the donation, and basically you're helping the arts and so on and so forth. If you're an art lover or an art, whatever installation or whatever it might be, but that's it. There's no more qualification. It's 7 days a year. In 5 years' time, you can apply for your citizenship. So There's a
I want to
load of
ask you
ways
more
for them to
about
do
that.
it.
I want to ask you more about that because I don't know if he's joking, but Paul's asking. So a new person coming to Portugal could come and start a fish and chip shop, a small business.
Yes.
I mean, although that might be a joke, if that it might not be. I mean, as well, it might be his area of expertise.
Yes.
And so it is a possibility that you could have an offshoot, or you could have your Portuguese branch of what you already do as part of the qualifying factor here. Is that what's being said?
I suppose, again, Adriana, you can nod and help me with this, but really what it's down to is this, is that you have to, your idea from when you're in your own home country, you go to the embassy. Now, Adriana helps you with all of the paperwork that you will bring to the embassy, but it depends on what you want to do. So, for example, if you want to do a business, you need to have a business plan. And that business plan has to be submitted at the embassy angle. So at the embassy location of where you're a resident or where you're a citizen at the minute. And you're saying, this is what I want to do in Portugal. This is it. This is my plan. I'm going to open a company and I'm going to do this. And they'll look at the business plan. And if they say, okay, this stacks up, they'll give you an actual visa on your passport that allows you to come to Portugal. And they'll make an appointment with SEF for you to come and to get your actual residency at that meeting. Now, if you want to go for the D2, and that's what you want to do, and it's a real business plan, such as your fish and chip shop, for example, then that's the route you go. You go and you make your business plan. We can help you with the business plan as well. And it's submitted via your embassy and you get your D2. But the answer is yes. So if somebody wants to come and to do a business here, and you open a company to do a business here, yes, you can.
That's great, isn't it? And the other thing, sorry, Adriana, before I move on, because my mind is whirring here with possibilities. And yes, the fish and chip shop, first franchise in Ponte Lima, please, says Joao to you, Paul. So Paul might come out of retirement and start a legendary chain, like a Harry Ramsden of Portugal.
Yeah.
Is there anything you wanted to add, Adriana, to that so far?
No, is like Bob said. So for the D2, there is no minimum requirement on the amount that you are going to invest, or for example, certain number of employees that you need to have, or even on the type of business, the services that you are going to provide. So this is, in my opinion, is pretty great because you can set up a business and do whatever you want, whatever you think is your expertise, or whatever you think will be profitable in Portugal.
And that's the point,
And
because it'll be a subjective matter of them assessing your business plan and seeing if it will work. It's not so much this amount, that amount, and doing these things by certain times. It's all about the business plan, is it? And their subjective
of course, can be a single shareholder company, can be a really small business, as long as it is a business. In fact, can be even a self-employed business here in Portugal. So there is no, this is very clear in the law that the requirement is to make an investment operation in Portugal that we translate to the company setup, show to the consulate, to the immigration office, that you have a solid business plan, and that's it.
Wonderful.
You
Couple of
qualify.
things then. We've got a great question from Nubiana, and I've got one as well. Part of what we do at Good Morning Portugal is we have the Portugal Club, and an offshoot of that is an expat angels idea to support Portuguese entrepreneurs. You know, there are people retiring to this country who've got great business experience and acumen, and they would like to help Portuguese business people, especially the young ones who are working in a kind of particular environment. Could they support a business? Could an expat angel invest in a Portuguese business for the same result here?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, so what you can do, as I said, is you can set up a new company for yourself.
Yeah.
And you can also become a shareholder in an existing company in Portugal that would be the sport, a company that already exists in Portugal.
So, Bobby, I think you might want to add to that as the entrepreneur here. I mean, how exciting is that to see a business opportunity here that is being brought to life by young Portuguese entrepreneurs, and then help them with investment and insight, and get yourself a D2 visa at the same time?
Yeah, and actually, I would invite people who have such a project or a program to basically put to us that we could maybe even, how would you say, number one, do a bit of due diligence on it and look at the plan of action and so on, and maybe put that as an option towards some of the investors that are looking at the D2. I suppose, Carl, what I'm trying to get across to everybody is that the D2 is not a new golden visa. What it is, it gives a lot more options for people who don't want to live here, who can't live here, for example, and wants to give their family the same benefits as, let's say, the golden visa did. Or it also gives the benefits of what the D7 does. It allows them to live here as well, and it allows them to do a business. So imagine a lot of the time when I travel, and I was telling you this before, when I was doing the golden visa, because I didn't know the D2 existed, I would meet many persons who would come to my presentations or come to my meetings in whatever country it might be and said, please, sir, I need a visa. Can you help me? And I'm sorry, unless you have 500,000 euros, I can't help you. Now I can. Now I can help you. If you have a business idea and you actually have the capacity to open a company and a business or whatever it is in Portugal, we can help you. And how do you say, the bar is not so high. When the golden visa sank to the 350 option to try and divert investment into certain areas and so on, it created a product of what people started to sell and package for that would qualify for golden visa. And then it even got worse. It became 280,000 euro golden visa, and you had multiple companies, large development companies, coming into Portugal from different parts of the world, as well as people that were here. They were buying stuff and creating a product that didn't make any financial sense whatsoever, except for it qualified for the golden visa. And at that stuff, I just shun away from completely.
Yeah.
What I believe now is that this T2 or D7 is much better than what was the late golden visa. The first golden visa I thought was a great idea for investors, that the way they could invest in anything they see fit to. What this D2 does is exactly the same thing. It allows them now not just to invest in anything they want to invest in, but also at the value that they're able to invest in.
Yeah.
And it opens up not only my dependents can join, but also my elderly siblings or family can also become shareholders of the same company, etc. So it's much better. It's much better. And I would say to anyone who's considered D7 or who's considering moving or residence, whatever it is, we have the options there that will help you to decide what's the best strategy for you.
That's what I wanted to ask you, because there are some people who'll be watching and who will see this later will go, hold on a minute. So the golden visa hasn't gone. I was going to do a D7, but this D2 sounds pretty good. How can they get an evaluation with you, Adriana, for example, and go through those options?
Okay, so the golden visa is
well, actually, what I mean is, can they call you and can they get help with that? Can they go through a process with you to decide which is the right one for them?
Okay, yes, of course.
Okay.
For example, if you are looking, for a residence in Portugal, you want maybe to apply for the citizenship, the European citizenship for family. So you are looking into the options that we have. So the golden visa is still available, of course. The real estate is not an option anymore, but there are still types of investments that you can do. But as Bob said, it's very clear in the law the amount that you need to invest and where to invest and how to invest or even to donate. So if you are able to put that money into the investment, you can qualify 7 days per year, and that's it. For the D7, is a residence as well, and is more suitable. It's suitable for people that are retired or they have passive income. So, for example, a person that is still working and all the income that they have is generated by the work through the salary will not qualify because this will not be a passive income.
Yeah.
So it must be a passive income. So for people that they have, I don't know, stocks or maybe rent in another place, that because this must be outside of Portugal and they want to bring to Portugal to support their new life in Portugal. And this is what is the D7. So I would say that for a working people, it will be a little bit difficult to qualify. If they have any passive income besides the work, it's fine. But at the same time, I wondering myself, you apply for the D7, you are still working, you are not retired yet. And although you have some passive income that you can demonstrate to the immigration office, and then you apply for the D7, you got the D7, but you are still working in another country and you are not really able to move to Portugal right away. In my opinion, doesn't make sense when you go for the renewal to show to the immigration office that you are still working in another place. This is why you are not in Portugal, but you applied for the visa that is commonly known as the retirement visa. Uh, but yes, it is what it is. So the D7, in my opinion, is for more for people that are really willing to move to Portugal. They are retired, they love Portugal, they want a new life here.
Brilliant.
And
Okay. Sorry, I interrupted you there.
oh, no problem. Now I was going for the next one, the D2. That, in my opinion, I totally agree with Bob. Is an investment in Portugal as well, but it's much more than that, and you have such uh, a variety of options that you can do. There is no minimum amount to be invested, so it's completely different of the golden visa because you are completely free to choose what type of investment you want to do. You can set up a new company for you. You can even invest in a company that already exists in Portugal, so you don't even need to come with a new idea of business in Portugal. And if you decide to set up a business in Portugal, you can do whatever you want. The size that you want can be a really small business, can be a really big business, and you can provide any type of services. So you have a totally freedom to do whatever you love, whatever you like, and uh, apply for the visa, get the residence. In the end of the road, after 5 years, you can apply for the citizenship for you, for a family, get the European citizenship. During the 5 years, the same as the golden visa, you don't need to apply for a Schengen visa. So it's a great deal for people that are, traveling a lot, have many business, because they don't need to go through all the process to the consulate to get a Schengen visa. For some people, it's very difficult to apply, depending on the embassy. And you can do whatever you want here in Portugal. Is your choice.
This is great, and of course, if someone is, this is a new avenue that's opened up, as the Sky of the Shy has put it. You can get in touch with Adriana and Bobby via the website, d2visaportugal.com. A great comment from Nubia Net now. Look, this is a sort of case study almost that you could work with here, you two. I can tell my brewer friend about the D2, but if setting up a business is as complicated in California, he wouldn't go for it. California wore him out. And Paul makes the point, yeah, when you start a business here, you're joining hands with the Portuguese taxman. Paul, whatever you do here, you're joining hands with the Portuguese taxman, whether you like it or not. So
Your partner.
It's all in the NIF number. You become a tax collector
Yeah.
on behalf of the government. Now, there's no avoiding it, and avoid it. You shouldn't do anyway. But this is an important point here, isn't it? What Nubia Net is saying, a D2 visa for a potential brewer. We were talking about craft beer earlier on. We've had suggestions for fish and chip shops, for Mexican food as well now. And I love this idea of the D2 Dragon's Den, where people send their ideas in. But the complications, joining hands with the Portuguese tax person, people, and also the whole machinery of setting up a business. It isn't easy, but will you support people when they do that? Can they benefit from your expertise as a business person?
Yeah, it's like this. This is what the point, probably the last point we're going to get across, is that we're there to help you from A to Z, regardless of what you want to do. I think the big thing to remember in Portugal is you only pay tax if you make money. So if you're not paying tax, you're not making money. So our idea is to get you to pay as much tax as possible.
Yes, well done. Yeah,
So,
that's good for everybody, right? That's a
yeah,
win-win.
absolutely. And it's not a bad idea to be paying tax in a country that you want to reside in or that you have a passport for or so on. You you have to become a part of the society regardless, if you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
if you're going to benefit from this beautiful, safe climate of people, of everything else that we all love about Portugal, the fact that you have to pay tax because you make money at the same time, I don't begrudge it to them at all. I look at the parts of the world that I've come from where people are trying to do what we're doing, and I would pay 90% tax here than live where they are. So people who complain about tax, for me, in the sense of course, sometimes it's high and it's it takes a lot of things out of people's pocket, takes a lot of money out of people's pocket. And I'm not saying that, but look, if you're making money, you're paying tax. Even if you're making small money, here, you're paying tax. But that's where people here need to understand that if you're going to live here, and even if the NHR is around or not, if you have a business that you can do and that you want to do, and let's say you can even have a passive income in Portugal under the D2, where you can invest in properties where you rent out, which can be completely managed for you, where you're completely hands-free and hands-off. But the structures are there through the tax consultancy that we also have on board that will mitigate your tax liabilities based on how you do structure things. Yeah. So what we're saying is that we have, first of all, the idea is a consultation that will listen to what your idea is. What is your situation? Where it is, I'm this age, I want to move, I don't want to move, I have this size family, I need advice and I need direction. That's the first part. Let's talk to those people first, give them the options, and then they can go down the avenues of which suit them best. And then from there, they decide what way they want to go. And the cost of doing this compared to what Golden Visa was or is minimalistic compared. So I invite people to contact us through the website and basically to set up a consultation either from the investment side of it with me or with their business program or whatever it might be with me, or from the option side of it and the D2, D7 Golden Visa, what's best for me with Adriana or Mariana or her team. So we're there basically to talk to people and understand what they're looking to do and what options they have. Because a lot of times people I know a friend who did this, so they follow that.
Yeah.
But
I saw it on social media. Even worse, I saw it on social media. Yeah. So go to the website, book a consultation, get the right program that's right for you. And as Bobby says, they're helping you from A to Z with that nuts and bolts, from the soup to the nuts, as we go. And that's the website there, d2visaportugal.com. We got to go, but thank you so much. I mean, I think basically we need part 2 of this, where we do a bit more Q&A from people. But thank you for all your questions so far. That's wonderful. I think we'll finish with the words of Philippe Stark. It's in French with Portuguese subtitles, but it kind of underlines what you said, Bobby, about what it is we love about being here in Portugal, the spirit of the country. So we'll finish with Philippe Stark. Lovely to meet you, Adriana. Hope to see you again on the screen here on Good Morning Portugal. Cheers, Bobby. See you again soon as well. Nice big round of applause.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Take care, and bye for now. Over to Philippe Stark.
Bye bye.
Par hasard, j'ai découvert le Portugal. J'ai découvert le Portugal où j'ai trouvé la dernière espèce humaine qui avait gardé des valeurs humaines. Où là, il y a encore de l'honnêteté, de l'amitié, de la tendresse, de la vérité. Et j'ai trouvé l'endroit où on peut vivre en harmonie avec les autres. On peut dire même, on peut vivre dans l'amour.